She's going to talk on faith on interfaith, a study of cross religiosity in Darjeeling. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Professor Sengupta. Very good morning to respected Principal Ma'am, respected colleagues, and dear students. As it has already been pointed out, that the title of my paper, as you can also see on the slide, is Faith on Interfaith, a study of cross-religiosity in Darjeeling. Now, right at the outset, I would like to humbly put forward that what I am going to be outlining in this presentation are my preliminary assumptions, because the entire fieldwork for this paper has not been done. Hence, whatever I am going to be charting out are the preliminary assumptions. As the introduction, I would like to focus on the meaning of the first part of my title of my paper, which is Faith on Interfaith. Now, the Cambridge Dictionary defines interfaith as relating to activities involving members of different religions. Now, these activities involving members of different religions can be located at various levels: interpersonal level, local level, state level, national level, international levels. Now, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed the World Interfaith Harmony Week in the first week of February in 2010, after which it is being celebrated every year. But what is the goal or objective of celebrating this week at the UN, or observing this week at the UN? The objective is to pass on the message that mutual understanding and interreligious dialogue constitute important dimensions of cultures of peace. That means they are very, very important for peace. Now, the necessity of such a harmony for peace is true for each and every part of the world, as it is for India. Now, since India, like many other countries, is multi-religious, it is multi-ethnic, it is multilingual, it is constituted of so many varied cultures and cuisines, and we just had the cultural festival here, and the students themselves came up with so many dances from so many parts of India. So we know how very diverse India is. So our diversity, specifically unity in diversity, is one of our greatest pride. And the other greatest pride is, of course, being the world's largest democracy. Now, everyone here in this hall would agree with me that it is each one of us fundamental duties to preserve and protect our unity. Hence, the title of my paper, Faith on Interfaith. Moving on, I would like to now bring your attention to the concept note of this conference that was passed on to us for the calling for the abstracts. Now, to quote from that concept note, it said, the seminar seeks towards celebrating the diverse cultural ethos as reflected through the rituals, festivals, folklore, and other forms of traditional heritage of the various ethnic communities, unquote. So it seeks a celebration of diversities. One of the objectives of the conference was to celebrate diversity, and rightly it should be so. On the other hand, at the end of the concept note also stated that, I quote again, turn the cultural heritage into the critical heritage of cultures, unquote. So hereby, one of the other objectives was also critically analyzing these cultural traditions using the lenses of power in caste, gender, nation, identity, and others. And I think the two previous papers before me have done a very have applied a critical lens. But here, with apologies, applying a critical lens is also very, very important endeavor in any academic discussion. But here again, with apologies, I would like to earnestly state that my paper is not much about the critical part as it is about the celebratory part. And there is a reason for that, why I am celebrating faith on interfaith and study of cross-religiosity in Darjeeling. And the reason is what is happening in the social and political life in major parts of the country vis-a-vis what is happening in the social and political life here in Darjeeling. Now, as we know, in large parts of the country, there is rising intolerance, religious intolerance, which is covered and not only covered by the mainstream media, but most of the times actually, it is also abetting rising intolerance that is there. And the mainstream media, electronic media specifically, if you notice, they are no longer discussing issues that need to be discussed, say about economy or about rising GDP or development issues, education issues, or military security, or how India should become a great power in the international domain. But it is discussing majorly issues, unfortunately, about mandir, masjid and churches, which it should not, because this is creating more divisions in the society. Now, in such a vitiated context, the national context, the national mainstream media has been vitiated. Now, in complete contrast to this, Darjeeling has shown tremendous levels of mutual existence and communal harmony. And this is something which people here are very proud of, and they should be proud of that. Now, examples of such mutually existing harmony is part of the everyday lived experiences of people here. A small example is joint celebration of festivals. In any festival here in Darjeeling, even if there is no physical invitation to and from the neighbors, there is definitely sharing of food. So inevitably, in every household, during Diwali, there is a proliferation of sweets and roti. During during Losar, there is a proliferation of khapsio. During Eid, there is sevai, and definitely during Christmas, there is a cake in the house, inevitably. And it doesn't matter which religion you belong to. And there are countless other examples of such interactivity, which comes to people very naturally here. It comes normally and almost effortlessly. There are many examples where, from the same family, people belong to different faiths. I personally know of a family where the mother is a Christian, the father is a Hindu, and the only child born has chosen to become a Buddhist. And my colleagues were recently telling me in the staff room that there are many other families like this, where in the same family you have people belonging to different faiths. So these are just some examples that I am quoting. And hence this society of Darjeeling stands apart, and it stands apart positively. Hence this very different and almost exceptional cultural strength that we have, which is the mutual respect for each other's faith, and this deserves nothing but a celebration. So what are the possible reasons for the existence of a strong intermixed society of Darjeeling? What are the reasons? Why are we the way we are? So one of the reasons, and has been outlined by Kishan Harijan in one of his articles, and this has also been outlined by many other scholars, is the fact that Darjeeling belongs to a border area, and hence it has been at the frontier of the trans-Himalayan trade, which encouraged different and diverse cultures to flourish and integrate in the area from times immemorial. So it is at the crossroads, trading crossroads. So there has been always a visit of people from the neighboring area. Another argument has been outlined by Townsend, Middleton and Sarah Shederman in a book titled Darjeeling Reconsidered. And they have outlined how borders have moved over the people of Darjeeling, with this region being part of Sikkim, then going to Nepal, and then back to Sikkim, then under the British colonial rule. So usually, when we talk about international relations, we talk about cross-border movement with people. People are crossing the border. But in the case of Darjeeling, you see, the territory is there and borders have crossed over the territory. Sometimes you belong there, sometimes you belong here. And this has nothing to do with the people. It had to do with the exchanging between the elite, the kings and the elite group. Now, they go on to, now these authors go on to outline how the British lured workers from Sikkim, Bhutan and Nepal for the tea plantation, as the local inhabitants, largely consisting of lepchas and limbus, could not be enough for labor. Now, to quote these authors, they write, tens of thousands poured into Darjeeling, making this the start of a profound demographic change that forever altered the ethnic landscape of the hills. They write, I quote further, as members of various ethnic groups from across the Himalayas found work in the up-and-coming hill station, the new arrivals brought with them their own languages, customs, and religious practices. These became the building blocks of the ethnic plurality that is the region's signature. The ethnically diverse settlers found ground in the Himalayan heritage, and the Nepali language soon became and remains then Darjeeling's lingua franca. Over the generations, as members of different ethnic groups mixed and intermarried, many of the discrete linguistic and religious practices of their ancestors gave way to new hybrid cultural forms. New forms of solidarity and cultural identity were gained. These dynamics over the last 2 centuries have yielded Darjeeling's distinctive multicultural identity and made the Plains of Hills a unique site for Himalayan cosmopolitanism. That means we have a cosmopolitan identity. And how do we define cosmopolitan culture? culture. So, and how do you define cosmopolitanism? Cosmopolitanism can be understood in many ways. So, in the terms of international relations, cosmopolitanism is that identity where we say that people are world citizens. They no longer belong to particular nation state, but they are world citizens. And at the spatial level, the Cambridge Dictionary has defined it as containing or having experience of people and things from many different parts of the world. It has also been understood as being free from provincial prejudices and biases, and it can also be interpreted as spaces where people of various ethnic, cultural, and religious backgrounds live together and interact with each other. So this is what has been said in the second book. Now the third reason for the existence of a strong intermixed society, which is closely related to the first one, is the fact that the most important economic dimension of the place is tourism. And right from the colonial rule, Darjeeling has been globally branded as a tourist destination. Kishan Harijan has stated that tourism has contributed to a broadening of the world view of the people, because people come here from all over the world. So that leads to a change in our behavior and how we perceive them and how they perceive us. That leads to a change. Another important reason for this cosmopolitan outlook is because of the varied educational institutions that are established by the Christian missionaries, which provide which has provided from historically world-class education to all classes of people here without discrimination. Here we are sitting in the Damien Hall, and historically what was the Loreto College. And everyone sitting here would agree with me that no amount of appreciation is enough for what Loreto Educational Society and the Jesuit fathers have done for the educational system in Darjeeling, in India, and all over the world. Now for the fifth reason, I would like to thank the discussion with Vishal sir and Neeraj sir from Southfield College. So this region focuses on the manner in which the physical space of Darjeeling has developed. There is a presence of what is known as neighborhood interfaith. And neighborhood interfaith is a term that has been used by Humaira Khan in her article, where people belonging to different faiths live comfortably with each other. There is a presence of what is known as mixed neighborhoods. Multiple buildings and localities where there are family belonging to all kinds of faiths. Now a walk from Southfield College towards the Mall Road, down towards the Chowk Bazaar, and a climb up towards Gandhi Road will make us cross not only the Mahakal Mandir, a Tibetan school, a masjid, St. Andrew's Church, a Gurudwara on St. Dr. Zakir Hussain Road, Japanese temple, Dildar temple, and many sacred places, and they are in close vicinity with each other. Another exceptional facet is that, and it must be the much respected, loved and revered Mahakal Mandir, a Hindu priest and a Buddhist priest sit side by side with each other at the same altar for the puja. Now such a physical space of Darjeeling has led to such a strong intermixed society. Now the paper in conclusion argues that such intermixed traditions in Darjeeling need to be preserved with vigor at all levels, at the interpersonal, institutional, governmental, societal levels, so that the local democratic and secular ethos can be preserved. In conclusion, I would also like to focus on what Amartya Sen has talked about in his book Identity and Violence, and he has talked about multiple identities. And so all of us do not have only one identity, right? So I have my religious identity, I have my ethnic identity, I have my professional identity. I have the identity whether what kind of food I eat, or whether I like Bollywood or K-pop, So that all kinds of identities we have. To reduce me to only my religious identity is criminal, and it is criminal to reduce anyone to just one identity, he says. All of us have plural identities, and that is a very important thing. And I also would like to, in the end, if allowed, in the end, I would also like to conclude with a picture. And yes, so in this picture, as you can see, there are 6 girls that are standing. And this group of girls passed out for everyone in Darjeeling in the year, they did their ISC in 2007. And their group is still alive, and it's called the Divine Devils. They have a WhatsApp group. And if you've not noticed, I'm one of them. But why I'm showing this picture here is, among these group of girls, there are 3 Hindus, there is one Buddhist, there is one Christian, and there is one Muslim. And so this is actually representing India's true unity and diversity. Okay, but the fact is that when we made this group in the 8th standard, none of us were aware of our religious identities. We all knew that yes, we belong to different religions, but it was not important. It never came up in the discussions. And so this is what faith on interfaith means. And this is my lived reality. This is the lived reality of so many people here. And we have to be proud of it. Like, Darjeeling, we say that there is Kanchenjunga, there is scenic beauty, there is sunrise and sunset. But for me,
we have to stop because there are 2 voters. Okay. We got your point. And I'd just like like to add, like yesterday, Costa was pointing out to me the floral motifs as we enter this college, that this is a reconstruct by the Irish nuns on the Darbhanga building which was given by the Maharaja Darbhanga. So it has happened everywhere in India, and in Darjeeling maybe we appreciate it more. We get your point, so we get back to you during discussion. Thank you very much.